Hello and welcome to round 3 of the 2026 Super Formula One World Championship, the Suzuka Grand Prix. We remain in Japan this week, now at Suzuka Circuit, the 3.6 mile, 18 corner racetrack. The biggest storyline headed into the race is that our championship leader, George Russell, has won this Grand Prix the last 2 years, and coming off of 2 wins so far this year, can he complete the hat trick? Let's get ready to find out and check out the starting grid. McLaren lock out the front row with Oscar Piastri on pole. The second row is shared by the 2 Ferrari drivers, and Kimi Antonelli leads in all Mercedes' third row. Hadjar starts alongside Lindblad, then Verstappen alongside Bortoleto, Pierre Gasly next to former teammate Esteban Ocon, then Colapinto will start next to Hulkenberg, Liam Lawson next to Lance Stroll, and Sergio Perez next to Alexander Albon, and Alonso and Sainz share the back row for the second time. And we are underway from Suzuka Circuit. Everyone seems to get away well as Piastri takes us into turn 1. Leclerc peeking to the inside, there's nothing there. Hamilton trying around the outside of Norris, but nothing doing. Clean running into turns 1 and 2 so far. There's Russell trying to get in front of Antonelli, but Antonelli stays in front. So far, not many changes up front. Russell still trying to get by Antonelli, and we've got moves further back as Lindblad fell back to 10th, and Colapinto's got ahead of him for 9th, but not for long as Lindblad gets that place back. Verstappen got ahead of him as well, so 8th for him. Bortoleto dropped back a spot. Colapinto got ahead of him. He went from 13th and now 10th, so more moves in the midfield and towards the rear, but up front there's no drama so far as Piastri leads us from Norris, then the 2 Ferraris. Liam Lawson to the inside of Sergio Perez around 130R, still alongside each other, but here comes Lindblad weaving to the inside. He fell back a bit, but he's going to get ahead of both cars at the chicane, and that'll put him back into the points as Lawson still battles Perez, but Colapinto and Perez came together earlier in the lap and they'll be headed into the pit lane. We might be on for our first lead change of the race as Lando Norris is going to try around 130R, and he gets that move done without much fuss from Piastri, of course not wanting to get in each other's way with the 2 Ferraris right behind. Piastri gaining down the front straight, and Norris is not going defensive. The pole sitter moves back into first place around turns 1 and 2. And these two beginning to go at it back and forth now. Antonelli still in front of George Russell, but that could change here into turn 1. It's the closest he's been. He's got his front wing on Antonelli's rear axle, and now coming out of turn 2, he has his car in front of his teammate. Entering the top 5 is Russell. George Russell starting to show some pace here. He's closed the gap to Leclerc ahead, and into 130R, that gap will be gone. George Russell moving into 4th and splitting the 2 Ferraris. This is an early tire change for Lindblad, the first to pit for new tires. Seems like V-Carb is committing to a 2-stop, and he will come out here in 14th. But Stroll and Colapinto are racing down the front straight, and Colapinto ran into the back of him. That was surely damage sustained by Colapinto, but that also gives Lindblad damage fresh out of the pits as he stays ahead of Stroll. Russell is flying right now, trying to set up a move on his former teammate Lewis Hamilton around 130R again, and Hamilton stays with him on this one, not giving up that place easily, and this continues down to Casio Triangle, the final chicane. Hamilton staying with this one, and this is great racing from Lewis Hamilton to stay ahead of the championship leader, but possibly better racing from Russell as he knows he will have another chance with the slipstream down the front straight, and he will start to move towards the inside for turn 1. Leclerc is gaining behind, and that outside line will leave Hamilton vulnerable. Russell works his way through and into 3rd, and now Leclerc drawing alongside of his teammate coming out of turn 2, and he will get ahead. So 2 places lost in the end for Hamilton despite the efforts. Russell now in the podium places. There are the 2 McLarens making their way through the chicane. Piastri and Norris both headed in for a tire change here on lap 19, and now we'll wait to watch how the other front runners respond. McLaren trying to cover off any undercut attempts from Mercedes or Ferrari, and Russell as well as Leclerc and Hamilton will continue onward regardless. Kimi Antonelli will do the same, albeit further behind. So let's see if Russell's going to make his stop here on lap 20, and he's going to stay out. And Ferrari going to bring their 2 cars in. So now they are trying to go for an undercut on Russell, who continues onward for another lap. Here comes Antonelli and the two McLarens, so both of them showing pace on their outlap and able to catch the rear of Antonelli already, who of course is yet to make his stop. The Ferraris will come out in clean air, but with some gap to Norris and Piastri. McLaren have some trouble getting past the slower Antonelli, and that's contact! At Degna 1, Piastri into the back of Norris, gets ahead of Antonelli, but there may be damage there. Here's another look at Piastri's onboard. Yeah, just unable to get the car slowed down into Degna 1, and that's going to be damage for the both of them. So here comes Russell, and the McLarens have already caught up to him. Clearly shows you the pace advantage for pitting earlier, and what a net gain that would have been from McLaren. Instead, they're going to have to make a quick stop again for repair, as Russell's on his way in front of them. Antonelli follows them in, but already having arrived at the back of McLaren and Mercedes, that releases Ferrari, who of course made their stops, and into the lead of the race. Leclerc 1, Hamilton 2, and this is flipped on its head. Lindblad on a sprint to the end. He's made his second stop, gotten himself back into the points, and now he's trying to battle for more points wheel to wheel with Bortoleto coming out of Degna 2 a little bit on the grass as they go side by side into the hairpin. Lindblad goes a bit deep, but Bortoleto went too deep to make a switchback, and so Lindblad will be back into 9th place. Pierre Gasly started this race 11th before taking damage on the opening lap and falling as far down as 18th, but now he goes to the inside of Gabriel Bortoleto at turn 1 and enters the points positions. What a recovery from Gasly. Here comes George Russell on Lando Norris. Russell's favorite spot to make a move seems to be 130R, and he's successful this time around as he moves his Mercedes into the 3rd place spot. Antonelli now knocking on the reigning champion's door. We saw these two give us great battles so many times last season, and now they're picking up where they left off as Kimi Antonelli swings into 5th place and ahead of Piastri, and once again the Mercedes driver having the upper hand on Piastri. As they round the hairpin and get ahead of Stroll, Verstappen's just had zero answer for Isaac Hadjar. They've been running 7th and 8th for the entirety of this race, and not once was the former champion able to attempt a pass on his new teammate Hadjar. Antonelli trying to go to the inside of Norris, but Norris holds this one out. Antonelli's found pace late, and now he can get both Mercedes to finish ahead of both McLaren. They fight through the chicane. Who's going to get the better exit? It looks to be Antonelli as they round the final corner, and Kimi Antonelli is ahead of Lando Norris as they begin the final lap. Hamilton waiting for the last moment to try to make a move for the lead. To the inside around 130R, and Leclerc will hold on. So this will end all their droughts. Their first 1-2 since 2022. They won one race last year, but he hasn't since 2024. Charles Leclerc will round the final corner, and he will come across the line to win the Suzuka Grand Prix ahead of Lewis Hamilton, his first podium of the season, and the prancing horses return to the top. Charles Leclerc is a race winner once more, his first win since round 11 of 2024, and now he's back on the top step and ahead of Lewis Hamilton with the fastest lap to complete the second ever Ferrari 1-2 finish in SF1. Russell and Antonelli getting ahead of both McLarens late, Norris 5th and pole sitter Piastri 6th. Hadjar not moving, Verstappen had no answers and finished 8th. And Lindblad and Gasly scoring points for the second time this season. Also, Carlos Sainz with Williams' best result so far in 12th, but we'll see if that changes anything. Leclerc with his win moves up to 2nd in the standings, and Hamilton jumps 2 spots to 5th. Piastri, Norris, and Hadjar all dropping 1 spot with no other changes in the Drivers' Championship today. In the Constructors, Ferrari taking a leap into 2nd and now only 5 points off Mercedes. We may have a closer Constructors this season. And further down, Aston Martin still afloat in 9th, their best results being 12th and 13th, while Williams with their 12th and now 15th. So they do not move up, and they have 2 more races in this first segment of the season to retain their 2nd seat. So we'll see if after Daytona they have enough points to be inside that top 9. It's all red back up front with Charles Leclerc winning his 5th race of his SF1 career, Hamilton 2nd, and Russell with a 3rd podium. We'll see how the story shifts for the last of our Japanese leg this season, next time out around the streets of Tokyo. Until then, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Project SF1.